Hatem Ben Arfa was probably the most talented players I've seen.
What? You know, everyone says that.
Yeah. He's unreal, wallah.
I swear to God, I've seen him. I played a couple of times against him. What he was doing on the pitch was like he's playing a different sport. Like that is the only time, because even when I played against like players like Ribéry or Robben or everything, and look, they were on a different level. I mean, but when I played against them, I felt like, yeah, okay, they're more consistent. What they do, what I can do on 10 games, they can do it for 3 years. But when I looked at Ibrahimovic and Hatem and some of the players, I was like, man, they were doing like a different sport.
All right, so it's a casual conversation.
Yeah, easy, man. Yeah? Right, man.
And by the way, if you don't want anything to be said on the podcast, say it and then tell us to cut it out.
Yeah.
I normally have a list after everything else, so like, please delete this.
We say a bunch of wild shit here, though, but don't worry about it. Anyways, let's get going. How's it going, people? Welcome back to the GalacticOz Podcast. Today we have another ex-professional footballer. We started with Archie Thompson, and now we moved on to someone who's actually played in League 1. We're moving up, guys. Moving up the ranks. We got someone who played for Bordeaux. He represented Tunisia internationally and was a rapid winger in his heyday, and now he's a professional football agent. Fahid Ben Khalfallah, welcome to the GalacticOz.
Welcome to the Galacticos.
Thanks for having me.
The first thing that I want to get started off with is a topic that we actually discuss here on the podcast, and I want to get your honest opinion on this, and you don't need to back your people here. We said the most talented footballers come from France after Brazil. You were born in France. Would you say this is true?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah, because you look at all the best players in the world, or a lot of them come from France. The academy are amazing. Academies are amazing. So they just know how to develop players. It's not the best league. It's one of the best. It's very hard to play there. But when you look at players like Kanté, Pogba, Mbappe, Dembele, everything.
Benzema.
Zidane, Benzema. Ben
He's going to try to bring Benzema every time.
There's a lot, like Ribéry, like Henry, Anelka before, like Trezeguet. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. The number of players they have. It's ridiculous.
You know, some people just put it down to migration. Like, it's not really there.
It is. No, but you've got, in Europe, you've got a lot of countries. Obviously, you're surrounded by a lot of countries, and African also. So you've got Tunisian players, Algerian, Moroccan, African players Senegalese. Who come there. They have something different as well, you know. Yeah. And so you've got the immigration. You've got a mix of everything. And when you look at the national team, there's a lot of Arabic people, black people, French, whatever. So they come from everywhere, which for me it's amazing. Yeah.
What would you put it down to? Is it you guys are just playing ball on the street every day? What is it?
Yeah.
Is it the academies? You mentioned the academy now.
Academies, but before that, like the cheapest sport in the world is supposed to be soccer. In Australia, it's the most expensive one. Yeah. So now we talk about it. When you just need a ball to play, and in Africa or in South America and even in French, some areas or whatever, like poor areas, you can play football. You just need a ball. So you don't have to register in the club. You just have.
And if you don't have a ball, you make one.
Seriously, actually, honestly, it's true. And that's why people make it very easy for people and to play. You've got stadium everywhere, goals everywhere. Here, like you gotta pay whatever to play in NPL, coached by some people who have no idea about football, like $2,000 or $2,500 a year, which is to play 6 months, which is ridiculous.
That's very true.
So that's why. And then we don't have as many sports or codes like you've got the AFL, rugby, cricket, everything here. Yeah. But why is the AFL that big? It's cheap to play AFL when you're young players, and we do have the most participants. Like it is the most, whatever the sports with the most participants.
Most played,
in Australia. But it's still, like we always say, like, the biggest athletes or the best athletes that play AFL rugby. Yeah, there's a reason why.
With the academies in France, though, the most famous thing from France and academies is Clairefontaine.
Clairefontaine, yeah.
So is that independent or is that run by the federation?
But now it's a bit different because to be honest, it used to be the best one. Back then, like you had Arfa, like Henry, Anelka, like all those players were coming from that academy. And so then they get picked by all the best clubs in the world, or especially in France. But now it's just a bit different. Now all the clubs, they go direct, like, you know, try to sign the players. The best players, like at 12, 13, 10 years old.
So that was a national academy that picked the best players
like
in the country
kind
and
of like
coached them.
a massive academy, like a national one, with like coaches from, they were playing games, everything.
Yeah.
And then you had clubs at 14, 15, 16 years old. You had clubs coming and signing those
Taking
players.
the best players.
And now it's just a bit different.
The coaches that were there, they were French, all French-based coaches, or did they bring people from outside as well?
French, man.
Yeah.
Man, they don't go.
They didn't trust anything from outside. Yeah.
In terms of academies, they don't need anyone.
Yeah.
It's when you look at it, like now in first team, everything it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Juniors, whatever, you don't find any coaches from overseas.
We have to talk about, especially like the kind of play that you guys appreciate in France and just in Europe in general, because I feel like, and we spoke about this with Craig Foster as well when he came on the podcast, but is there some players that you grew up with that you thought, this guy's a talented player, or he's better than you even, but he didn't make it because of whatever reason? We think here, especially in Australia, they don't value the more flary player, the not so physical player. Do you think that's the case in Australia and in Europe?
For me, look, and I'll be honest, in Australia, if you're good, you'll make it. And people always try to find but it's a politic thing. You know what's bullshit. There's 12 clubs in the A-League. They're not good enough, and they don't have enough good players or whatever. So the clubs don't want to rotate and just, like, you know, have the same players. But we talk about the talent. It's not easy. In France, I played with players when I was young, better than me. But maybe because they weren't serious like I was, they didn't make it. So you have to be serious. And also clubs, they're very cautious about that. They're like, when the academy, you have to go to school, you have to succeed at school, everything to be part of an academy. So everything is very important. If you're just an idiot and you act like an idiot, it's very hard to make it. And I see here, man, some players or whatever that just do some dumb things sometimes. I'm not saying even at the highest level you do it, but when you're young, they're very careful with that.
No, but I think you're saying if you're good enough, you'll make it. And there aren't any politics or whatever, but I think there's evidence only, for me, I don't follow the A-League very closely. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. But Adelaide United and Central Coast Mariners, I feel like they have opened the floodgates for their young players and they're giving opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But I don't see that much else in the A-League. Yeah, I don't see it in Sydney, Western Sydney Wanderers. I don't see it at Western United. I don't see it at Melbourne City. I don't see it at Perth Glory. I don't see it at Brisbane Raw. Maybe they pick the odd NPL player.
Okay, Central Coast have no money. They don't want to spend money. So it's very easy when your maximum salary, whatever, is a certain amount, players don't want to go there. I mean, you got to make it work, so it's very hard. So you have to give a chance to young players, which is Adelaide, they don't have the biggest budget, but there is no competition in South Australia. The club doesn't have his own academy. They work with the state. They develop young players, and all the best young players go to Adelaide. So you have a pool of really good players.
That makes sense.
That makes so much sense.
And everyone goes there, and Adelaide obviously gets the best players. So that's why you see Mohamed Toure, Yaya Dukuli, Kusini Yengi, Nesta, and all those players Iran Kunda, everything coming from that academy.
Yeah.
So they only have one thing. In Melbourne, you've got 3 clubs now. So obviously it's a bit different. In Brisbane, you start having a lot of young players because obviously financially they don't have same budget as a Victory or Sydney FC. So, and some of the big clubs that want to succeed. Last year, Nick Montgomery did something amazing with Central Coast. You look at this year now, they started it's 4 games, I think 4 losses or something like that. It's not easy to win with young players. Now every club for me should have young players because you don't have to play them if they're not good enough. The problem is of some clubs, they don't have the choice to play them because they don't have money. So they're struggling financially. They don't want to pay whatever, 500, 400,000, 600 because they said, it's a waste of money. But if you want some quality players, and I'm not saying sometimes you're going to clubs or whatever, they make a mistake or you're going to pay someone a lot of money and it's not worth it. And it does happen a lot. But if you have a young players and you have really good coaches, a 16 years old, if you're smart and you say you work with him and everything, you can make money on him. If you play him because he deserves it, then you can transfer him 2 years later, 3 years later, whatever. The club can make $500,000, $1 million, everything. And the money you can reinvest it within the club So you bring better coaches, you get better young players, everything. So they should do that. Because we have the salary cap, you know how much money you're going to spend per year. The maximum, you know it's capped. Some of the clubs don't spend that. So, and they decide to say, then last year they saw central cost. Well, not everyone in the league is Nick Montgomery. I'll tell you straight away. So not everyone is capable of working with young players. It's a different job. So, and you also have some of the big clubs, they have pressure. Like, I mean,
They have to
pressure.
deliver.
It's not the same pressure as Europe, but you have to win the league. So when you start saying, okay, you've got this one, everything, man, it's very hard. Yeah, it's not easy, seriously. And we don't have, seriously, for me, there is some really good young players, but you don't have 100, you don't have 50. So some of them just play because you have to play them.
Let's talk a little bit more. Just get back about your career, because we got to give the guys some context here, because we're gonna talk about the football agency and everything that you've been doing right now. But I want to talk about your start and how did you get started in football and your first professional contract before you moved to Bordeaux. And it says here on Wikipedia, I don't know if this is true, 5 million they paid for you to get you on board. And for those of you who don't know, this is the club that Zinedine Zidane, I think Juventus took him from, correct?
Yeah.
Bordeaux.
Yeah.
But how did you get your start into professionalism?
Look, so in France, to become a soccer player, you have to, for 99%, you have to go through an academy. I didn't. So I was just like, I had 1 or 2 offers, everything, to go to an academy, and I had brothers who failed. So my dad was like, oh, just stay and do your study, whatever, and you play with the first team. So at 15 years old, I was playing with the first team, and 16 or whatever, and at 17, couple of teams started coming, whatever, to watch me, and I signed like a professional contract with the second division team. And the coach took me there, to be honest. Like, I was supposed to train just to train with the first team, play with the reserve. And friendlies, I was doing really well. Like pre-season, I was doing really well. And the first game of the season, the best players of the team, like I was playing 6 back then or whatever, like more defensive midfield, he got injured. And the other one got injured as well after 20 minutes. And I came on, and I was man of the match. So that's how it started.
Wow.
And to be honest, like, I did what I had to do, but the thing is, like, if those players didn't get injured or something, maybe it would have been very different. So you need luck. And then I played in second division for a couple of years, and then I got transferred to a first division team, and I think I got transferred like 2 or 3 times, like on the road 3 times, from Angers to Caen to Valenciennes, Valenciennes to Bordeaux, for like something like 5 million euros, something like that. And then how
was that the Bordeaux stint? How was that? Did you find it very difficult to break into the first team?
It's the level is like, I think we were like probably 18 international players. Like I had like 4 or 5 players from the French national team. The captain, Alou Diarra, who played for Liverpool, everything. So he was the captain of the French national team. He was with us. Players playing for the Czech Republic, for Brazil. So the quality was amazing at training. But and you learn everything, all the details. And there is a gap between the top level and being a soccer player. Like, I mean, and that's why I always say, when people hear in A-League, it's good, whatever. But the gap is massive when you start going to Europe. And when I'm in Europe, I talk about certain countries. And to go to like a top club, you need luck. Seriously, you need to be good. You need to be consistent at a certain point, like to have a really good season, everything to reach that. And you need good agents, you need the contact or whatever, and the coach if he likes you, and then to be honest, but it was amazing. Like, and now I was playing for for Tunisia, and what made the difference was we played twice against France, and the year I got transferred, I played against France, and I was man of the match. And I think that was probably the difference, seeing me playing against like best players in the world and doing well. So they just bought me.
Speaking about that, who are some of the best players you've played against?
And with
Henry, Thierry Henry. Against. That's the only, I mean, as a big name, him, Ibrahimovic.
Wow.
Anelka.
When was this? What years?
So 2010 against Henry, before the World Cup. Twice, actually, with Tunisia, we played against France.
Okay.
Ibrahimovic when he was at Paris Saint-Germain.
You can mention the
Thiago
whole squad
Silva.
for France then, if
Thiago Silva.
Literally.
Thiago Silva.
Robben, Van Persie. Yeah, all those players. When you play with a national team, you
you play.
playing. But the thing is, like, when you seriously, in my career, there's like 2 or 3 players. When I look at them and I was like, they were on a different level. Like,
Who was there?
Ibrahimovic was one of them. Schneider.
Yeah.
Wesley Schneider.
Wesley Schneider. But though you couldn't touch him. Ibrahimovic, he's so tall, but he's so strong, and technically, it's just ridiculous. Usually, when you see tall players like him, you say, Hatem Ben Arfa was probably the most talented players I've seen.
What? You know, everyone says that.
But
he was unbelievable.
He's unreal.
I swear to God, I've seen him. I played a couple of times against him. What he was doing on the pitch was like he's playing a different sport. Like that is the only time, because even when I played against like players like Ribéry or Robben or everything, and look, they were on a different level. I mean, but when I played against them, I felt like, okay, they're more consistent. What they do, what I can do on 10 games, they can do it for 3 years. Whatever, they can score so many goals. I wasn't good at that. I couldn't score, to be honest. I was bad for scoring goals. But when I look at them, I was like, okay, I didn't feel like, they were better at one point. But when I looked at Ibrahimovic and Hatem and some of the players, I was like, man, they were doing like a different sport.
What went wrong with Hatem, man? What is it? People say he had like 10, like...
Man, he's a top guy. Seriously, I know him. He's a lovely person. It's just different, man. Like, mentally, he's just... I don't know. And you can ask anyone in France who played with him or against him, they will tell you he should have been on the same level as Messi.
Wow.
It's just in terms of talent, he had, but the thing is like, not consistent, injuries. Maybe he just didn't care enough. I can't explain, but when he decided, man,
on his day,
there's nothing
when he decided to turn it on, it's on his day. He was able to turn it on whenever.
We played against Marseille the years they won the league, and before the game we were just laughing, and I was like telling him, man, what's wrong with you? With everything you've got, you don't want to play with the national team and everything. Man, that day we lost 5-1. He decided just to turn on and destroyed our fullback. He did things, seriously, I was like, you do that kind of stuff at training or futsal. Yeah. He was doing it like in front of like 60,000 people. He said, man, there's something special with him. But yeah, it's amazing to be honest, to play with those players or to play against. It was great, and you had that experience because you always like when you watch TV. When I was young, I always watched. When I was played against Thierry Henry or Anelka, as players, Henry, I grew up watching the French national team winning the World Cup, and he was part of it. So that's the only jersey I've got. I gave mine. I've got plenty, whatever, but that's the only one, to be honest, I'm proud of because he's one of the biggest legends of the world. Like he was one of the biggest legends of the game, and because he came the coach I had at Caen. Play together. So Henry, he knows everything about football. He knows everything. Second division, he watches every game. That was crazy. And he came to me. He was like, "Oh man, you should say hello to Frank." Everything. I was like, "Man, this guy knows me." And so that was the first time. And the second time we played again, and I was having a crazy game against Severa. And Henry came and he was like, "Man, stop it, man. We're going to the World Cup, man. Stop it, everything." And then we talked at the end of the game. Like, lovely person. Great guy, everything, to be honest. So that was like a good memory for me.
That's intense, man.
To get that kind of compliment from
him.
He
was playing up against Evra.
Yeah, I know. That's even more insane.
Is that the toughest defender you've had to come against?
Nah.
Thiago Silva, maybe?
Thiago Silva was good.
But like one-on-one, because you played on the wing.
Yeah.
So the fullback, would you say?
Guy Clichy was good because he...
My nigga!
because I was quick, but he was quick.
That guy is so underrated.
Clichy was good, man. Clichy was good. I don't know, to be honest, fullbacks, everything. I don't know. Thiago Silva was...
The one that stood out for you was Thiago Silva?
Thiago Silva was very, impressive. Abidal. Eric Abidal was good. Eric Abidal was good.
It's madness.
But it's more like, as an offensive players, you look at more attacking players and the one who can... destroy, you just sometimes you watch, you see the guy doing something, said, yeah. So, but
we were talking about Thiago Silva the other day. We were comparing him to Sergio Ramos and comparing him to other centre backs. Do you think he could, this is just a football opinion, on a hot take from you. Do you think he breaks into the top 10 defenders of all time?
Easy. I don't know, man. A top 10 all time?
Yeah, centre backs. Just think about it. Have a think about it.
Surely for doing it for this long and staying in this kind of
Which one?
Thiago Silva. Sergio Ramos has won everything, like the World Cup, Champions
No, but you're talking Sergio Ramos, Baresi, Maldini, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry.
Because you got, man.
There's a lot of big...
Times, you got got Ferdinand, you've got Baresi. People probably don't even know who he is, but man, he was.
There's a lot of
You've got Maldini, Costa Cota,
Cannavaro as well.
Like you've got like Thuram,
Nesta.
Esai, like all those players. Like say, but Thiago Silva and Sergio Ramos for me were probably two of the 3-4 best centre backs like the last 15-20 years. Like you can put them in that category.
If anybody's
It's
going to
hard
get close,
compare.
I think it's them too.
For me, it's very hard to compare with different generations, everything. The greatest ever for me is Messi. And we can talk about whatever.
Don't say it next to this guy.
He's a Ronaldo fan.
Ronaldo supporter.
Yeah,
But for me, the greatest ever is Zidane.
and I was a massive fan of Zidane, and I got lucky enough to meet him. And to be honest, like he was actually when I was in Bordeaux, he came to do his badges, everything. Like he was like 5 or 6 days.
Oh, with
us
you guys
in Bordeaux.
Wow.
So he was like.
So he's actually a coach, guys.
He was. He wasn't coaching, but
No.
he was like he was part of us, like
had his
so on the
license.
pitch, everything.
Yeah.
And for me, he's the best French player ever, and crazy. I was a massive fan of him. But I put.
Is he one of the top 3 then?
Who?
Zidane.
No, I've
all
got
time.
I've got Messi. I have to put Ronaldo there because
Yeah, you have to.
Cristiano
I have to-
Ronaldo.
I have to put Cristiano. I have to put the Brazilian one. I have to put Maradona, and I have to put Pelé there. They're on a different thing, but I put Messi on a different planet. Because what he's been doing, Maradona has done it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Messi's been doing it for 17 years. Ronaldo, I prefer the Brazilian one.
Yeah.
If I have to pick, I would say, man, give me the Brazilian one because injuries, whatever, killed him. But man, if he didn't get injured, I think he would have been the greatest, in my opinion. But Ronaldo, what he's been doing for years, you just have to respect that. Regardless, for me, I'm not a Messi or Ronaldo, whatever. I'll put him there with him, like the two, what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Bro, it's just...
Yeah, I think Zidane is just on
You
that.
can't
side.
even imagine. Like, I was a soccer player and I played at the highest level or whatever. What they've been doing, it's just ridiculous. You know how hard it is to score in France or in Italy or whatever. Man, those guys were scoring goals.
To hear things like this from someone that was a marquee signing in the A-League, it makes you think.
You take Messi, bro. Messi is dribbling players like you do with kids.
Yeah.
But man, he's doing it with the best players in the world. Is what he was doing for me. I can't. I think Messi, Maradona changed the things, whatever the way he was.
These
Like,
guys
he
killing
was
hope
playing
now.
like it's Pelé because people were too young. I watched videos, but we were probably too far. Then I'll have Zidane. Then for me, the most elegant players I've ever seen. The most beautiful player, the way he touches the ball, like it's just crazy. He made a team better.
Yeah.
But the other ones could actually win the game on their own. That's, it's just a bit different. Messi, man, you just put him in the team, whatever.
Speaking of Zidane, and this is disrespect to Zidane, someone that was called the next Zidane, played at Bordeaux as well, Yoann Gourcuff. Was he after you or was he at your time?
Nah, so actually Yoann was in Bordeaux. He got transferred to Lyon and I got signed to replace him.
Oh,
I
so
got
he
signed
left and
he
then
left
you
Bordeaux
came.
and I came to replace him.
Oh, wow. That guy was linked to
but
Arsenal
he
for
was-
like 5 years in a
but
row.
He was a good player, man. He had injuries, but the year he had at Bordeaux, when they won the league,
He was
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 crazy.
nuts,
He
yeah.
was, but then because like he's like number 10, like he's the way he plays, like he's elegant as well, everything, and he's quite shy. So that's why like people. But nah, I
He
can't
didn't
put
end
him
up
on
having a
level.
big career as people
but he
expected.
got injured a lot when he got to Lyon. First year he struggled, and then he got injured. But bro, it's seriously when you start playing at certain club, the pressure you've got, and obviously because you get transferred and this, it's different, man.
The expectations are too high.
Man, and that's what I said. When you talk about some players who had amazing career, the difference is like the consistency. What I can do in whatever 5 games or 6 games or 10 games, they can do it on 3 years. Like that's why it's people don't understand. And Messi and Ronaldo, they're just on. I don't even think we'll see players like them. I don't. I can't imagine. We talk about Mbappe or Haaland.
Speaking of Haaland, do you think
How many players?
you
How
think
many
he's a
Ballon
fraud?
d'Ors? No, he's not, man. He's amazing. No, he's amazing. But what I'm saying is like those two players, Ronaldo and
Wallahi gotta
Messi.
stop.
How many Ballon d'Or did Messi win at 23 years old? And just the way people went even talking about, maybe that player could be better. No, it was just Messi and Ronaldo era. Yeah. That's it. No one else. You couldn't even put someone. Neymar got close at one point. People were saying, he's the next one. But no one was in that category. Yeah, now today you can say, okay, you like Mbappe, then someone is going to tell you, like Haaland, Vinicius. Or someone is going to tell you, it's a lot of people, there's no one.
There isn't
today.
a clear.
Yeah, there's no one.
But like with the players that you're saying, the players that can do it for a long period of time and that can change the game on their own. I think the closest to that is Mbappe right now.
Yeah, but in terms of
it feels like
seriously, I always say the same thing. People need to go and watch on YouTube what Messi was doing in 2010, 2008. Like when he was taking the ball and Maradona as a goal he scored against England. Okay, the hand, and then he dribbled everyone through the middle. Man, Messi was doing it every week. And then that's why he was dribbling things it's crazy. And Mbappe is amazing at his age, what he's been doing and what he's doing today. I just
what it sounds like? It sounds like to be at the very top level, you either got to be so good that your feelings don't impact your performance, or you got to be able to switch your feelings of you have to wake up and be that good regardless of how you feel to have this level of consistency.
And what's so funny?
It's near impossible.
Messi and Ronaldo, they actually made us forget about Ronaldinho. I never thought one day I would see a player who was better than Ronaldinho when I was growing up.
And it's about even Ronaldinho, when you listen or when you hear what he says, it's always like, oh man, that player, everyone knew. Thierry Henry was saying about him. So you got Henry, Eto'o, Ronaldinho, some of the best players in the world. Yeah. And he said, man, Messi was when he gets upset, he goes to the goalkeeper, gives me the ball, and he starts dribbling everyone you do when you're 13 years old. And he said, but we're the best players in the world. Yeah. And the guy is doing it like they're kids. And that's my opinion. And people can say Ronaldo, Messi. If someone says, man, I prefer Ronaldo, it's your opinion, man. There's nothing wrong with. No one's gonna say, man, you're kidding. No, man, what he's been doing. Ronaldo is just a machine. Yeah. Ronaldo, I think you can put him in any team, he will score goals. That's something. He's a goal scorer. Messi can give you assists. He can play as a 6 tomorrow. He can impact a game. Even at 35 or 36 years old, he can play as an 8, he can play as a 6, he can play as everywhere. He can drop between the center back, takes the ball, switch the ball, gives you an assist. Ronaldo can't do that. Hey man, how are you? Good?
About time, Hassan.
Ronaldo.
Did you bring your notebook today?
He dropped so many gems, Hassan, today.
I can't believe I'm never late, but this one.
What's your favorite league to watch? Which league do you follow properly, or do you watch everything?
La Liga.
I used to watch La Liga, not anymore, because I think it's not the same level. Obviously, Messi, Ronaldo's gone. Madrid is a bit different. Barcelona is not the same level, and people always it's a way, Barcelona way, it's a Barcelona way. The football has changed, and I have a lot of young talent, everything like Gavi, Pedri, everything. They're amazing, but man, I have to say Mbappe today is 23, 24 years old. It's just the future. He's not a future, he's a present, but I think for the next couple of years, Haaland, what he's been doing, I think he's also in a better team. So he will score more goals, he can win more trophies. Better team. Everyone watches the Premier League. And especially here in Australia. People have no idea. You ask them, if I ask you to give me 4 names from players from Inter Milan, you can't. People can't give you names from Milan, Juventus. Those clubs are massive.
It's strange, yeah?
But it's just because here I don't know, man. The brain is just Premier League. Yeah. People will give you a name of the guy playing in Watford, and he doesn't know Milan.
That's
but even it's funny because you bring a player. Okay, now you bring an A-League player, someone who's played in Championship. The journalist will make it sound he's a superstar, or someone who played in a small club, and then you're gonna bring someone who's played in Fenerbahce or Germany or Stuttgart or some clubs
which are better clubs.
Yeah, much better clubs. Yeah. But because he played in England,
it's a bigger deal.
In a very small, people who said, man, he's coming from the Premier League. Hey, no disrespect, man. That's probably the best league in the world. But man, I've seen some players coming from England. Hey, now you've got everything, man. So it's just a different football. It's just a different football. To become a soccer player seriously in France, Italy, Germany, Spain, you have to be good. sometimes I see players playing in championship because they're monsters physically. You know, they're technically really bad, but because physically they can make it up. They can just I would say, look, the Premier League is probably the funniest to watch because you have
Most
massive
entertaining.
clubs. Yeah, because man, you've got
Fantasy
Guardiola,
league.
Klopp, Evan Edge. No, it is, but you also have coaches like
But the best-
everything.
best
Man, the
managers.
ways they entertain, like
Best managers in the world. So it's best manager, probably best manager, and the TV.
yeah, and the TV, man,
Yeah.
they can pay 60 million. The smallest club can pay 60 million for a club for a player, an average player. No one can do that. They have money, seriously, crazy money. So of course they're gonna get better players. They have the best managers in the world, and every team. One of the things I'll give them, the majority of the teams they play to win games. It's an offensive football. If I speak about the French league, for example, it's very tactical, like very physical, everything. The Italian league is the same, a lot of tactics. So it's very different. In England, man, it's hard because everyone wants to play. It's a crowd, the stadium, everything. So it's just very different.
I want to ask something. Do you think the I can remember a couple of years ago there was a European Super League idea. You think that would have been better in a way?
You know, they've done it in Africa this year. In Africa.
Super League?
Yeah, Super League, man. The biggest club. Al-Ahly, everything, Esperance, all that stuff. They played. There was a semi-final. Like, I think the final is soon or something like that. So they did that. They created the Super League in Africa, just like it's a cup. So they created a cup with all the biggest club in Africa.
That's what we heard.
If you do it in Europe,
Would that help? The reason I'm asking,
it will destroy the leagues.
it will destroy the leagues, but would that help the even playing field between the other teams in the leagues?
Nah, but the thing is, like, for me, the Champions League, which is the best, but the problem is, like, it's the same as a World Cup and the Euro and everything. Today, we try to add teams. Man, last time, no disrespect, I came to watch Australia against Bangladesh. I was a waste of time.
Oh yeah, the last week, yeah.
So you've got some teams and people say, oh yeah, but it's an international
Yeah, but
game.
Europe, France played Gibraltar, give 15-0, man, or something.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and now in the World Cup, everything, they actually want to have more games. Expand, which is ridiculous because you should have the best teams in the world to play them. Man, seriously, you take the African countries not playing the World Cup. They're great, man. They have got 5 spots or 6 spots. Man, they have so many good countries. Sometimes they just miss out.
And it's so hard to make it.
Man, it's so hard to make it.
So hard.
Sometimes, and now they want to have, I don't know how many teams for like 32 or whatever. Man, you're going to have some games like it's going to be annoying. Yeah. So you want to watch, and the Champions League is the same. Platini was there, I wanted to add games. So obviously to make more money. Yeah. But the problem is like the level, instead of just having the top teams, you start having some clubs from different countries, the average. And then you start watching the group. You said, okay, sometimes you have 1 or 2 groups, like it's quite interesting. But man, sometimes you watch like City, they end up with like, I said, oh man, okay, they're going to finish first. And it's a waste of time. And then you wait because after you know you're going to have a good game. But you destroy the league if you do that. The league's like, you can create something, a cup maybe. But man, you can't have those clubs just playing on their own, man. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it won't work. So you think
and fans, man, like they will not go and watch at one point. And the TV, everything, it's complicated, man.
Yeah.
You spoke about the pressure that's in France and just in Europe, playing in Europe generally. When you made the move to Melbourne Victory, we asked this to Archie Thompson as well, because when he jumped from Europe and went into Melbourne Victory, he said, especially because he was here for the inaugural year, so the 2005, the first year of the A-League. How did you find that change from Europe to the A-League?
Seriously, I had no idea when I first came. I thought actually I was going to play like amateur level. Like I was like, I'm gonna play in front of like 500 people. It's gonna be.
So it was like a holiday kind of thing.
No, not holiday, but I was like, I had no idea. Yeah. And the thing is like, okay, training facilities. You know, Victory trained in the park.
Amy Park, yeah,
outside the stadium, in the public park. But I enjoyed it because I lived in the city. So for me, I was like, oh man, it's perfect. I live like 5 minutes away. I drive, I come, I train, everything, which is fine. I enjoyed the crowd. And 2014, it was packed every game.
Yeah, it was. It was bigger than it was now.
Nah, much better. And to be honest, like it was packed. So I enjoyed that.
Did you play under Ange? Was it Ange?
Nah, Ange left. I was with Muskie.
Muscat afterwards.
So we had games at Etihad back then, like in front of like 55,000 people, everything, which was amazing. And you had better players probably also, like at one point, like more experienced players, not enough. Like you didn't have a lot of young players playing. Like you had more experienced players from, like a lot of Socceroos as well were playing. Players coming from overseas. Like every club had more money as well. Salary cap was higher. I actually enjoyed it. But you don't have pressure. Because you lose a game, you go back home. The crowd here is very top, man. They're top. Hey,
Very forgiving.
don't change it. No, I mean like it's great. But bro, you know, there's one game, bro. There's one game in Bordeaux. Like I think we were fourth, and we were playing the third, so qualification, like to qualify for the Champions League. We got smashed at home, 4-0 halftime. We were losing 4-0 halftime. Man, I swear to God, I got back home in the changing room, texted my wife, go back home. After the game, they had to call the cops, everything. We went back to the hotel. People had to drive our cars. They didn't want to let us out, man. We couldn't walk. You can't do anything. So there's things like even when you play I played for Tunisia, either you're a king or, man, they want to kill you. They want to kill you. So if you win a game, you can do whatever you want. Man, you can go to the airport. You can walk through the airport with a gun. No one is going to say anything. You lose, man, the cop will smash you.
Yeah, the
gun will come to you.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, it's very different. You lose a game in Europe, you don't go out. You don't go. You don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
You're not allowed, to be honest, the majority of the time. So very different.
I think that increases the level of the game as well.
It does because also look, the money is better, so it makes you realize what you do. Here in A-League, when I first came, I was like, fuck, man. After training, the first thing people think about is like which cafe we're gonna go to, and it's like that kind of stuff. You finish like seriously training, and then you can do something totally different. You only train once or whatever. So that was different, but I enjoyed it. To be honest, for me, I was at the end of my career or whatever. But I was like, especially for my family, things I could do, I couldn't do in Europe. Like that was the first time where I could go to the beach with my family without people bothering me. People didn't have any clue who I was here, which I was so happy about. Going to a restaurant, you don't have anyone to come to annoy you. It's things that, like, you can't do in Europe. Like, I mean, if you start playing for a big club or whatever. Yeah. So, that's why it's different. But the pressure is, when you play for a club like Victory or whatever, you put pressure on yourself, like, with a club, because you want to win. Yeah. You want to do well. But the crowd is not putting pressure. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, it's not something bad. It's actually, I really enjoy that. Because sometimes with too much pressure,
can't perform.
You can't perform.
And of that squad, who do you think were, of those players, who do you think were the ones that you could say would have been able to make it in Europe? Because you had Mark Milligan, I think, was your captain. You had Guy Finkler. Rojas was there.
Was Cruz there at the time or not?
No, I don't think so. Rojas was there. I remember Rojas went to Germany, didn't he? He played with you, didn't he? For a bit.
The third year, yeah. Look, as the players, I would say, as I played in Europe, like Mathieu Delpierre, the centre back, he was by far the best centre back in the league. He came from Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Then he was the only one, I would say, probably, he was
on that level.
Yeah, he was on that level. Then someone like Archie was good. He was getting older, but Archie, you could see, like, he was a good player.
That was the back. That was old Archie.
Yeah, but that season, whatever, he had, like, I think he scored like 13 or 14 goals. Like, he was coming off the bench, or he was sometimes starting or something, but he had like a massive impact. And but he was good. The rest is good players. No, seriously, good players. But I can't say
no one. That's the answer.
No, they're good players, but you can't say
there's different levels, bro.
Depending which level you're talking about.
The way Guy Finkler was spoken about in the A-League was like he should be playing Champions League. Guy Finkler.
He was a good player in A-League. That's why I'm saying, like, those players, when we won the league, those players were like top players in the league. But now if you talk about could they play in Europe, yes, some of them could play in Europe.
Not in the top leagues. What you're saying?
If you start saying about top clubs, everything, top clubs, if you have like 5 players max or whatever.
No, I'm saying, like, for example, mid-table,
depending which leagues.
In the maybe Spanish league, Dutch league, German league.
No way, man.
It's tough.
Mid-table, second league maybe.
But it's tough because seriously the competition is different, the mentality is different, but you have players like Matthew was played there. Carl Valeri, I think he played like in Serie B maybe, or like in Italy. So, but like he played like in still Italy, whatever.
Cavaleiro is good.
Some of the players, to be honest, like they came back from Europe, but it's just like very different.
Yeah.
But we had for the A-League, man, we had top players. We had a very strong squad.
Let's talk about the B-League. We just mentioned it right before you walked into the room. They mentioned, what is it, 10 clubs so far?
They started 8. They announced
clubs?
8. I
Yeah,
think.
it's 3 from here. I think the most was from Sydney.
8
Four-
clubs. 8
4 or
clubs.
5
But
from
they're
Sydney.
the like the
5
foundational
from,
clubs.
5 from New South Wales and
5
3
from New South Wales.
Victoria.
And 3 from Victoria?
3 from Victoria.
There was one from
No,
Tasmania.
Victoria.
One from Tasmania as well.
No, there was
So when
8,
did
8 all up.
One team from Tasmania apparently too.
When did they announce it?
A couple of days ago.
When they announced 8 teams, 3 from Victoria, 5 from New South Wales.
Oh, so these are teams. So this is the B League right now. Yeah?
Apparently, by the way, it's 10 years. It's going to be for 10 years. Then you're going to have relegation and
They were
promotion.
saying 5 to 10 years
Apparently.
of no relegation, no promotion, and they were saying
So no relegation for 10 years.
Yeah, they wanted to start it in November, I think, next year.
So the B League's what? To just trying to establish themselves as a proper league.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's same thing. Like during like 20 years, maybe.
20 years.
ridiculous.
I think even more than that, to be honest.
Nah, the second division will be the best thing that could happen but if you have relegation, promotion, because you have to force clubs to get better.
Yeah, exactly.
A-League clubs, some of the small club or whatever today, as soon as they start losing games, whatever, said, we'll focus on next year, play some of the young players. And then it brings the quality is bad. People stop watching. They're sick of it. So it has a massive impact because people don't want to go to the game or people don't even want to pay, so TV rights go down. If you start having promotion and relegation, people and clubs will have to fight. Now the problem is like you have owners who actually don't want that to happen because if you spend 10 millions on your club and you have the risk for the club to go down and it's going to be worth 1 million or whatever, they don't want that. The problem is to create second division with no relegation and promotion makes no sense. And I'm sick of those people in A-League, the ways they run the federation, everything, that have that pisses me off. Like seriously, because you're going to come up with something telling me, okay, what's the point? So you're going to ask people to spend money. Who's going to watch the B League? So it's an NPL between New South Wales and Victoria. Who's going to watch it?
No one, but I want to ask you something. The problem we have, because we had a big argument here about culture, okay? Now, the problem they have is, for example, Victory, you're lucky you came at a time where Victory, because Victory was the first Melbourne team. So that's why he's actually got a big support from Melbourne. But all these other clubs that come, they don't have they're new clubs, so they don't really have a following. But these local clubs actually have like a
Bigger following.
They have bigger following than some of these
A-League
clubs.
that were created out of nothing. That's
Like
what-
for example, a club like a club like South Melbourne has more, or Melbourne Knights have more supporters than most teams in the A-League. Than Western United, for example, they do.
You're going to now create a second division. It makes no sense. People say, young players. Now I'm going to tell you one thing. NPL players, they make the money. They all work and they make money. You're going to ask someone to go and play in second division. If it's a professional league, I don't know. You're going to ask him to quit his job and to work, just to play soccer. Who's going to pay for that? Which money you're going to pay him? So if he keeps working, then it's not professional. So if he's got another job, so you're going to ask someone to go, okay, Friday you can't work because we have to travel to New South Wales or Perth or whatever.
Are you a professional player or not?
Yeah.
I get what you're
So
saying.
now you're going to say, but we only... No, it's not. It's actually semi-professional. So it's shit. So the problem is like they come up with that idea. Which clubs? Who made that decision?
Yeah, that's the point.
So you've got clubs today that don't have owners. Perth don't have an owner. Newcastle don't have owner. So you've got clubs financially, they're limited. They're struggling financially. So you're thinking, instead of fixing the A-League, we're talking about creating something, a second division, that makes no sense with no relegation promotion. So what's the point? If you want to bring clubs, if I was seriously in federation, I would say, okay, we need to add maybe clubs. The second division, it's a must, but fix the A-League first. So why don't you go to South Melbourne, Oakley, whatever. You guys want to get a club, work together, bring something like a proper thing, whatever, proper plan. 2 or 3 clubs to work together. Marconi, they've got an amazing stadium. Sydney United, those clubs, give them a license. Bring them in the league to have something different, whatever. But it makes today, you're going to ask now, we're going to create a team in Tassie or in Canberra, and the other one is in Auckland. Well, next time, get a team in Fiji. So, I don't get it. I actually don't get it. Seriously, I know it's very hard to run something, but the idea of coming up with a second division with no plan makes no sense. And the second division will be the best thing that could happen if you do have relegation and promotion. Add other clubs.
It can't be a whole league.
It
The
adds
federation
other
can't
clubs.
just ignore what was before the A-League. The old NSL and all those clubs, all of this history, they've just ignored it all, created 10 new clubs, and this is the professional league now.
But you know,
That's
it's
not-
one,
that's-
you know when I
I
speak
feel
with
like that's
people,
wrong.
sometimes people tell me every time, people forget what happened, how the NSL, everyone
It
talks
was
about-
ugly, bro.
Yeah, you know, thanks. Because
I remember, bro.
everyone-
I was old enough
Because-
to remember.
but if you-
because,
but if
bro,
you- because I-
never
look, I
witnessed
was-
it.
I wasn't
never
there.
witnessed it. Neither was I. Neither was I.
So I wasn't. So
Well-
but you know what? Sometimes I
They
just
could've fixed
ask
it.
people. I said, okay, how was the NSL? I said, man, NSL was bad, man.
it was disgusting,
No, but
bro.
what I'm saying is-
it was ethnic. It was literally
Yeah,
it was literally ethnic.
good. No, hear me out. Hear me out. No, I tell you why it's
It was
good.
ethnic racist shit, man. Like, straight up.
I feel like that's a project that you can fix instead of trying to like completely scrap it and it still exists underneath. So what's the difference?
Abdallah, if you're not a Croatian kid, if you're not a Croatian kid, and Melbourne, you don't go to any Melbourne nights game. Is that something you fix?
You can't even go watch.
Hey, wallah, it's uncomfortable.
Are you serious?
Well, wallah. I mean, I went to games. It was very uncomfortable. If you're Greek, you go to some Melbourne game, guess what? You know what? You go there once, you ain't going back there again, bro.
Ah, but
Because you don't see nothing about Greeks there. The players are mostly
It's
like
not-
Greek local
nah, but
kids.
you can-
And
you
now
can
it
trade
fixed
them.
itself.
And I'm not saying what's happening.
Now
is
what
better.
happened?
Huh?
Now what happened?
I'm
It
not
fixed
saying what's
itself.
happening. Yeah, man.
South Melbourne's got African players. So does
every club has changed now. Every
Everything's
club has
changed.
changed.
But look,
Everything's
it fixed itself by itself just because they created this
They could have fixed
foolishness
it.
of A-League.
Nah, but it's look the A-League. I think COVID had was a massive hit for the clubs. COVID, like the difference is like you don't have the TV rights, everything. When I first came, I really enjoyed it. Like the stadium were actually more crowded. You had games, like really good games, everything. I think it was probably, I'm not gonna say better, whatever, because I don't like comparing, but you had more people. I think COVID was a massive hit financially, and the problem is like salary cap went down, everything, and you don't have the same support as AFL. You don't have the same support as
That's the
rugby.
problem, man. We had this argument. We have other sports that we love and we're passionate about.
That
man.
you love.
I love. So if I go to the footy, bro,
And other
that's-
people enjoy.
Yeah.
No, we don't enjoy
Like
it.
even
bro.
like
I enjoy AFL cricket.
like even
Yeah.
cricket, like you know what I'm saying?
Which is
But I think,
crazy.
see, I agree with you
Look
100%.
at the World Cup. What happened with the Matildas, everything was amazing. You go to now, even the Socceroos had a really good World Cup, everything. Instead of building on it, actually we're not.
forgotten about.
We don't. And that's why I hate that, because I'm sick of like people making decisions without having football brain. Like we just talk about the business. I always say the football is the same as a company. If you want to have a company tomorrow, you're gonna invest first. The problem in A-League, they want the money first. That's not how it works. You need to make it better. You need to make the product better for people to come and invest money. It's the same as a company. You want to build a company tomorrow? No one is gonna give you. You need to start investing. You're gonna spend money, everything to make it better. Clubs don't have academies. The majority of clubs don't have a proper setup. In Europe, man, when you're good, if, for example, you're a club like Victory, City, whatever, if the best 14 years old is in Perth, how do you bring him?
There's no way. His parents will just take him to Europe.
So, but you know what? In Europe, they find a way. They bring him, they look after him, they've got accommodation, they sleep
They
there,
bring
everything.
the
Why
parents.
don't you think they need to start with that? The academy as well. You need to have proper setup. It costs money. It costs money to build an accommodation, to bring.
But there's
to
no
have-
interest from the population.
that's-
there's more kids. There's more
Okay,
kids that play
which is
netball
the
and
club-
play
which-
cricket
which
and,
is-
play, and do swimming.
Hold on.
There's
Which
more
is-
kids.
Which
you know?
is the sport with the most participants?
In Australia?
Yeah.
It's football.
Is it now?
By far.
It gets played the most.
So, and that's the most expensive sport. So you do have that, but you need to invest. You need to build facilities. You need to have better coaches to develop better players. You have some of the young players, no disrespect, you go to any academy, sometimes you see coaches, man, that they can't even kick a ball. And they're coaching players to become a soccer player. You go to Ajax or any clubs in Europe.
You got Robben Van Persie coaching
The
him.
coaches are former player.
Yeah.
The
Because you
assistant
know
coach,
what? I always say
the nurse, the physician, they're all former players. They
but
know how to play.
They're former players, because I always say when you coach an A-League team or a professional team, you need to be a great manager. You need to be a good coach, but also man management is very important. With a young player, you need to demonstrate. If the 13 years old, he's got to cross the ball and you need to correct him. Some of the coaches here can't even kick the ball. And they're coaching in academy, in professional setup. So how are you going to say, oh, he's going to get better? So you need to start you need to have a plan on 10 years. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to stop comparing with England, Germany, France, Italy. Man, everyone plays soccer. Why don't you compare with Portugal? It's a small country. Croatia, 2 World Cups, 2 finals or semi-final, whatever. 4 million people. Belgium, Netherlands, those countries, they don't have a lot of money. The football is obviously the main sport. But look at what they do.
Iceland in the Euros.
Yeah,
But it's the same as Australia. You don't play in Iceland.
Yeah.
We're not a soccer nation. So people say, no, but you can have that. If you start having a plan for the next 10 years or whatever, you can have a 12 years old, 13, 14. You have actually a good generation coming. Some of them seriously are quite good, but you need to develop them better. Then you need luck, you need a lot of things, but you need to fix the A-League before fixing the second division with no plan or whatever coming up. So maybe 8 teams, maybe 10. When is that? Who's gonna pay for it? Who's gonna watch it? You're gonna watch it for me.
FFA president.
You're gonna watch that.
I was gonna tell you that. Yeah, I'm a football fan. I can never see myself watching the A-League. I know that the players don't have nothing to fight for. They don't actually have to win the game. For me, it's like even the friendlies, the international friendlies. Even if France is playing Croatia or something, if I know it's a friendly, I know these players are not gonna give 100% because they don't actually have to win. You know what I mean?
But that's you're not gonna watch the B League or whatever.
That's exactly right. If I can't watch Croatia, why would I watch the A-League or the B League? I didn't have to win.
You watch, look, tomorrow you've got actually, for example, you have really good games sometimes. Seriously, if you have the derby, like if you watch City against Victory, and if it's crowd, I always say, some of the game, man, in England, in France, in Germany, they're rubbish. The quality is poor, but because you have an amazing stadium, the stadium packed, people and the atmosphere. I've got one of my players, Kusini Yengi. He's playing for Portsmouth. I went to watch game. Man, it's
from Adelaide.
It's crowded. Man, it's crowded. The level, like obviously it's a big club, whatever. You have 20,000 people, supporters, crazy, everything. It makes it better. The A-League, you go to a Victory, you go to Sydney FC against Western Sydney. It's an amazing game. Like seriously, I'm not kidding, because you know what? You have people, a good atmosphere, it's crowded. So those games are very good. Even the Central Coast Newcastle last year, when it's packed, you actually go and you enjoy the game.
Even for the TV, right?
Seriously,
for the TV, when you watch on TV,
when you have a crowd and people going there, it makes it look better straight away.
What do you think the level, like the difference in levels between A-League and NPL is? Do you think it's far off, or is it very similar?
You train. Look, you train every day, physically. So you have players in NPL that can play in A-League, easy. You have some of the players that can play. The only thing is like when you train every day, physically you're much better. So you can repeat more, like you can do more efforts, more sprints, everything. So the difference, the gap between a very good team in NPL and I would say the worst team in A-League, in one game, anyone can beat anyone. Oakley, South Melbourne, they can beat City, Victory tomorrow in one game. Seriously, it doesn't matter. But 20 games or whatever, then I would say, okay. But because they're training every day. So that's the only difference. Some of the players in NPL could play in A-League, but you know what? Because the money is not great, they're not going to get a good contract. Some of them, they've got a great job. They make more money.
In the NPL?
The thing is, like, if you play soccer in Europe, in the top leagues or even Turkey, everywhere, seriously, like in very good countries, there's no jobs where you can make more money. In A-League, you can open a business, you can open a cafe tomorrow, a restaurant. You can make more money than being a soccer player.
You can be a bricklayer, can make more money than a soccer player.
So that's my point is, like, if you open your business here, so you're not hungry enough. Look, true. The country here is amazing. Yeah. The life, people take it for granted, but the life is amazing. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. You have options.
From France too.
No, and you have options. So in France or in Germany or whatever, and you see a lot of people coming from Africa, from South America. Yeah. They're desperate to make it because you know if you succeed, you help your family. Yeah. You don't have another job that's gonna make you the same amount of money as if you play in first division. There's no businesses or whatever unless like you're a genius. Otherwise, you know that's gonna be you can't make that. Man, here I've got friends. You know what? They're doing so. They don't have to play in A-League. So if you're a lawyer and you've got a job, why would you play in A-League? You make more money as a lawyer here. Or you open, some of them open a cafe, you make a bit of cash or whatever in NPL, you get more money. Yeah. And some of them, why would you take the risk? So that's a problem. If you start having more money, and obviously you can attract better players as well, and that will definitely help. that will definitely happen.
Yeah, like the footy players don't have side jobs. The cricket players don't have side jobs.
No, but
Get
you have
paid
much more
loads,
money in
loads.
footy, a lot more money in footy. And now, like even a very average player will make actually very good money in A-League. Compared to A-League, the very average player is making very good money compared to A-League.
Footy's minimum $500,000 a year, pretty much.
Yeah, so in A-League,
minimum.
in A-League, you just have like 3 or 4 players per club. And I mean, the big clubs, some of the clubs never pay that. Some of the small clubs will never pay $500,000 or something, which is, okay, a lot of money for someone normal, but it's nothing in terms of football.
AFL rookie, come out of the draft, you're like first round pick, you're on 350, 400. It's like first year.
Chilling.
Yeah, minimum.
You need to be almost like a visa player to make that kind of money in A-League. So which is, it brings at one point, like, you know what, it's very hard. It's very hard.
Let's finish off there because I think we've got you for an hour. We've just went overboard, but our audience isn't used to seeing or hearing things that are about football players and from the inside of the game, because we just come here, we just talk shit, and we just go home most of the time. But
Professionals.
this was very different. I appreciate your time, Fahid.
No, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming, bro.
Like always, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. We'll see you next time. Take care.
I got the sauce. I got the sauce. I got the sauce. I got the juice. I got the juice. You niggas look confused. I got the sauce. Yeah, I got the sauce. I got the sauce. Nigga, I got the sauce. I got the juice. Watch. I got the juice. Watch. I got the sauce. Yeah, I got the